I'm what you need. How's everybody doing? If you haven't seen this channel before, you don't know anything about this channel, don't forget that you can check it out right now. You can check out all my videos. You can check out everything that I do on this channel. And you can share, subscribe. You can also donate via PayPal. All the proceeds of this channel actually go to me, of course. But the thing about it is that this channel is not supported by Google. It's not supported by YouTube. So it doesn't matter how many views I get. I don't get paid for it. I only get paid when you guys donate to my channel. However, having said that, it's still good to have a lot of views because you have a lot of eyes on it. That's why I say share, subscribe, etc. Like. Now, we're going to talk about, as the topic says, PBC hypocrisy with Spence and Fundora. And we're also going to talk about Pitbull versus Matias, a potential massive fight on the horizon. And we're going to say why that is. So if you want to join me in this studio-like setting as a guest, feel free to do so. I've had RJ Jenkins of recent times. I've had Lonnie B, a.k.a. Lionel Thompson, on here. And I've also had some other channels, YouTube channels that have been on here. RJ Jenkins is a coach or trainer, and Lonnie B is actually a boxer. Looking forward to his next upcoming fight. Okay. So right now, what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to give all credit and praise to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first. And I just want to make a quick statement to you guys before I get on with everything else that I'm about to talk about. So, some of the people talk about, argue about doctrine and stuff like that. And I'm going to say this quite clearly. It's not the doctrine that we care about. What we care about is what you do. See, people can say whatever they want to say. I know people who say supposedly the right stuff. And then you say, oh, that person's a believer. But then when you see their actions are nowhere near what they're talking about. And so if you profess or claim something, your actions should line up. Let me give you an example what I mean. So, you have Jews, rabbis, Orthodox Jews who say Jesus was a rabbi. We got Muslims that say Jesus was a prophet. We got people who say, Christians who say Jesus was the Son of God. Some Christians say Jesus was God. Who cares? Are you doing what Jesus said? Are you doing what Jesus did? That's the key point here. So if at the end of the day, if Jesus was considered a good person by Jews, by Messianic Jews, by Christians, by Muslims, if he was considered a good person, then shouldn't you do and behave like he was? That's the point behind it. That's why I said arguing about doctrine is foolish. Arguing with people about who's right or wrong is foolish. If the person that you're arguing about or the thing you're arguing about is a good thing, then do it. Don't tell me about it. Do it. Actions speak louder than words. All right, let's get into it. Hold on one second. Okay, what you need is a little bit busy, but we're still going to try and get everything as much as we can done. All right, as you can see, I'm in work clothes, so I'm getting out of here to do another job. So hopefully this can be short and sweet. Okay, so let's talk about what we need to talk about and get out of here. First topic, hypocrisy of the PBC. These are points made by Bernie the Boxer in his interview on, I can't remember, Mill City, right? And he made some very good points, and I just want to elaborate a little bit on them. First point. So we saw Errol Spence challenge the winner of the WBC WBO title by split decision, Sebastian Fundora, to fight him. And everybody's saying, the big fish, you know, the big fish is taking over the place. Salute to Sniper Nation. Salute to you, brother. Sniper Nation in the building. You know, they talking about how Errol's taking away Terrence Crawford's opportunity. So let's start with the first point. All right. Didn't Errol want an immediate rematch with Terrence Crawford? So isn't his priority to get a fight with Terrence Crawford over fighting the winner of Fundora? Shouldn't his priority be to get back with Terrence Crawford? I'm just asking. So we have a fight where Tim Tszyu has a rematch clause with Sebastian Fundora. But Errol shows up. PBC on Amazon allows for Errol to show up and challenge Fundora to a fight immediately after a very close fight with Tim Tszyu, in which definitely, the outcome of the fight would have changed if Tim Tszyu wasn't cut. Now, was it Fundora's fault that Tim Tszyu was cut? No. It's Tim Tszyu's fault. He ran into Fundora's elbow, right? Having said that, though, that fight should have stopped in the 4th round when Tim Tszyu could not see through his eyes. That fight should have been stopped, in which case that fight would have been a dud. Got a shout out to Tim Tszyu and his team for letting it go on and having such a thrilling fight. Tim Tszyu being fighting in a fight where his vision was blurred and he constantly couldn't see through his eyes. As you saw, there was blood all up in his eyes. So it is only fair, first of all, that the rematch that should happen right now in boxing is Tim Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora. What is fair is if Errol Spence, who has unfinished business with Terrence Crawford, would take on Terrence Crawford. And Bernie the Boxer highlighted this, of course. And he then went on to speak, in terms of morality, about the fact that in boxing, it's about the best facing the best. Why would Fundora want to face the loser of the fight between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence when he could face the winner, who is Terrence Crawford? Why would he vacate the WBO belt to face Errol Spence? Because Errol Spence, according to PBC, which I don't exactly agree with now, since Terrence has beaten Errol, Terrence has sort of taken some of Errol's followers, some of Errol's people. In fact, universally, everybody agrees that Terrence Crawford is now a star in boxing, right? So for Leonard Ellaby to talk about previous numbers, it's like Floyd beating Oscar De La Hoya, and Floyd became the cash cow. Terrence Crawford now carries a cachet with him because he beat Errol. Terrence has now taken some of Errol's fans, some of Errol's followers, and actually Terrence now can be seen as a cash cow. But they're behaving like Errol is just the only cash cow out there. Excuse me while I eat a little bit. I don't have time. So forgive me. So Terrence's status after being Errol Spence is a different status. And I see PBC trying to freeze out Terrence from his opportunity. And again, if you guys know WattUNeed just wants to talk the truth. He doesn't want to talk about, I'm not such a Crawford fan that I'm blinded by the truth. I'm not such an Errol Spence fan that I'm blinded by the truth. But PBC is trying to push a narrative that Errol Spence should face Sebastian Fundora next. And they're going with that narrative as if the fans are stupid and don't realize they're trying to do two things. And I don't like what they're doing. They're trying to freeze out Tim Tszyu as if you had your shot and now we're going to put you in the background. And they're also at the same time, and they tried to set up Tim Tszyu, as everybody said, but Tim Tszyu was going to destroy Fundora. He's going to destroy him. There's just a total difference in levels. Fundora's on one level, Tim Tszyu's on another. Shout out to RJ Jenkins on saying that Fundora boxed Tim Tszyu, which is what he was spending the whole year doing, trying to use his reach and height. But still, if Tim Tszyu did not get that cut over his eye and it bleed into his eye and messed up his circulation and his vision, Tim Tszyu would have beaten Fundora. He'd have beaten him. He'd have stopped him. Okay? But it didn't happen. And it all goes to show you, walking the walk and talking the talk is two different things. Okay? So, and even us predicting things, boxing is something that you just have to expect the unexpected. You have to cater for everything. And obviously, Tim Tszyu and his team wasn't prepared for what happened. And it's all about preparation in boxing. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in boxing. And the least likely thing that we ever expected to happen happened. So, why I say this is not good, and what if the PBC decides to go down this road, it's the wrong road to go down. Their thinking is money in Errol Spence facing Fundora. Here's the thing. Yes, Errol Spence got knocked out. He got stopped. Yes, Fundora got stopped the fight before. Right? My problem isn't whether Errol Spence would beat Fundora or whether Fundora will beat Errol Spence. My problem is the principle of the thing. PBC is saying they're going after the money man. So Errol Spence will bring money and excitement to the fight. And Fundora brings an exciting style. So it's a money fight. But they are doing as if Bud versus Fundora will not be a money fight. It would clearly be a money fight because Bud is now a tremendous name and attraction. He's a bigger name, I would say, than Errol Spence is right now in the game. And Errol Spence is a pretty big name in the game. Okay? So that's one assumption. The second thing is, you take from Tim Tszyu the opportunity to avenge his loss. Because if Errol Spence beats Fundora, Tszyu could still face Fundora. But his championship wouldn't be on the line. So you rob him of a chance to get the championship back. Now, I see a scenario where Fundora, you have to excuse me for eating. I apologize for eating, but I have to eat because I have to go after this. I see a scenario where Fundora vacates the title, the WBO title, fights Errol Spence, while Tim Tszyu fights Terrence Crawford. So Tim Tszyu still gets an opportunity to get back his WBO title, not the WBC. Errol Spence fights Tim Tszyu for the WBC. I can see that. The problem is that Tim Tszyu won't have the opportunity to avenge his loss against Fundora. So no matter how you do this arrangement, somebody's being robbed of an opportunity. You know? And it's not right. Now, Bernie the boxer is saying that you have to have some sort of ethics in boxing. You got to do the right thing. Otherwise, you make a mockery of the sport. And here's what I mean. In boxing, the best is supposed to face the best. Not the winner is supposed to face a guy that lost. Fundora versus Errol Spence makes no sense to me at this point in time, even though Errol Spence is a tremendous fighter, etc. When Fundora can face Crawford. That's point number one. Point number two. Tszyu versus Errol Spence actually makes sense to me if Tszyu didn't have to avenge his loss to Fundora. Because a loser versus a loser, that's okay to get back the winner. You know what I mean? The problem is Tszyu has unfinished business with Fundora. But doesn't Errol also have unfinished business with Crawford? So this is where I don't understand. When you have two fighters, a fighter who has lost to another fighter, but for whatever reason, didn't get his fair shake, should be allowed to rematch if he has a rematch clause. Okay? Now we know the PBC can pay Tim Tszyu step aside money to clear out Fundora to face Errol Spence. They might pay Tim Tszyu an exorbitant amount of money. Whether Tim Tszyu will take that money or not is another story. But the point is, a real fighter, a real champion, a real fighter like Tim Tszyu will want his get back immediately. Another fighter like that was and is Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua wants his immediate get back. He wanted his immediate get back from Andy Ruiz, and he wanted his immediate get back from Alexander Usyk. Right? Similarly, I think that I'm gonna have to take a break again in between. Sorry, guys. Errol Spence should want his immediate get back from Terrence Crawford. You're good enough to face Fundora. You're good enough to face Crawford. Tim Tszyu needs a little time to heal up. Once he heals up, you should get that rematch with Fundora. Okay? I'm not speaking this as a fan. And I wouldn't be surprised. Fundora versus Tszyu 2 would be a bigger fight than Fundora versus Tszyu 1. Because it was an action-packed fight. It had everything. Drama, blood, gore. Both fighters hurt each other. And it was a close fight, and it was to and fro. So the sequel to that, PBC should be building up to the sequel to that. Meanwhile, we know now Spence is going to be at 154. We know Crawford's bulking up to go up to 154. Both Spence and Crawford look like huge guys. They were saying Spence looked like a linebacker. Let him have their fight at 154. I know Crawford is the mandatory for the winner of the WBO title, but they're going to have to either pay him step aside money or he's going to have to wait. Because there needs to be a rematch between Tim Tszyu. And you see the fans, the polls by the fans. It's, vast majority of fans, 62%, think that Tim Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora should run it. They should run it back. Right? Erickson Lubin said, that cut played a major part in the fight. And a number of other people spoke about it. The next thing is Tim Tszyu's camp, they need to have a good cut man in the corner to either advise doctors, hey, this fight need to be stopped, or a good cut man to stop the cut, because this problem, it was a serious problem. I've seen this also with Badou Jack, the Badou Jack fight, and I was listening to Duran Stitch, and he was saying that fight should have been stopped. And he also said Badou Jack fight should have been stopped, right? Because not only that was a major area where the blood vessels reaching the top of the head, and it was obviously the fighter's losing blood, so he's also losing strength and power while he's fighting, in addition to a blurry vision, because and even Jim Lampley spoke about it. And Jim Lampley thinks they should run it back, and I do totally agree with that. I don't think it's a robbery or anything like that. That things happen in boxing. All kinds of things happen in boxing, right? And you have to fight through it. And a true champion can fight through anything. And so Tim Tszyu showed he was a true champion. He fought through anything. He didn't get the win. He almost got the win, but he didn't get the win. And it's because he fought through the difficulty. And credit to RJ Jenkins. Fundora fought smart. He fought using his reach and length, and that, in combination to Tim Tszyu's blurry vision, got him the victory. Which shout out to Fundora on that. I mean, he's now a unified champ. I don't know how long he'll stay unified champ, but he's unified champ. And kudos to him on that. The right set of conditions was set up for him. I think one thing though that Bernie the boxer said, excuse me, I know I'm talking and eating, and I know it's annoying to some people. So let me finish chewing first. I gotta eat. Something Bernie the Boxer said that I disagree with. He was saying that Zoo, he didn't throw that left hook in there after he threw the right hand, and that if the cut never happened, he was never going to throw it. Zoo throws a left hook behind the right hand, but the thing about Zoo is, during those first 2 rounds, he was finding range. As he continues to land in the right hand, some really nice right hands, I thought he was going to throw the hook after it. He was setting him up to throw the hook. So I don't think that Zoo would have thrown only right hands throughout. I've seen Zoo fight another southpaw in Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn actually switches. And, you know, he came with the left hook behind the right hand. So Zoo throws the left hook. I think he was just trying to find range with his right hand to set up the left hook. It would have been a right hand left hook. He would have come with it eventually. But because his vision was off, he couldn't really find the target. He started stopping. You know, the lead foot dominance wasn't as much, as getting hit a lot more because he was standing in front of Fundora more, because he couldn't find where his range, he couldn't find things because of the blurred vision and everything. When you fight with blurred vision and stuff, it's different. And I don't think he catered for that. Right. And blood was all up in his eyes. I mean, his eyes were bloody looking, you know, so he wasn't really seeing properly. So, and as RJ Jenkins said, your eyes are everything in boxing, even though there's another level to it. The guy that beat Eric Morales, exceptional boxer. All right. I forgot what his name is. I can find it for you. And he was talking about how boxing is spiritual, mental, and physical. And he was speaking about the spiritual element, where when guys are throwing punches way too fast for you to see, you have to actually feel them. Meaning you actually feel what the boxer is doing, not just anticipation. That's another. So that's why I say spiritual. There's a level beyond that anticipation where you feel what the boxer is doing. That is to say, just after he throws a punch, you're able to react to it and not see the punches. You're not seeing anything. You're feeling it. And I remember Sugar Ray Leonard talking about feeling certain punches from Marvin Hagler and getting out of the way of them. Meaning you're hearing them coming and you can feel the wind moving as they're coming. And it's just an extra sense. It's like a sixth sense you have. Especially if guys are throwing combinations very, very fast. Your eyes won't be able to see certain things. So, you know, you have to just move out the way of those punches by feeling them, which I thought was crazy. But anyway, what does that have to do with Tim Tszyu? Well, if he can develop that sense, even with the blurred vision, be able to feel his opponent's attacks, you know, you can get out of the way of them even if you can't see. I saw a training video where they blindfold fighters and they, you know, getting out of the way of punches. So that's why I said there's an extra sense you can develop in boxing, where guys are throwing punches at you and you're rolling out of the way of them and stuff like that. Keeping your defense. So your defense is not even inherent on your absolute visual sight, but actually on this extra sense that you have to be able to feel what's happening. Okay? So I just talk about that. This is the second part. Why Isaac Cruz versus Subriel Matias is the fight to make. And I know a lot of you guys are like, Subriel Matias, this is the guy that killed Daddy Chef. This is the guy that beat up Malik Hossein, been beating up everybody. He knocked out everybody he faced. He's a punisher. Well, several different reasons. The first one is Mexico versus Puerto Rico. The biggest demographics in boxing today is the Mexican audience and the Puerto Rican audience. These guys love boxing. You put Mexico and Puerto Rico together, Isaac Cruz is a bona fide Mexican. He's not born in the United States. He's not a Mexican American. He's Mexican. Subriel Matias is the pride of Puerto Rico. He's Puerto Rican. So you're going to have Puerto Rican fans rallying behind Subriel Matias. You got Mexican fans rallying behind Isaac Cruz. And that makes for a mega fight. Right there. 2. Isaac Cruz and Subriel Matias have never been in boring fights. They're exciting fighters to watch. Period. Okay? That's the second reason. 3. Both Isaac Cruz and Subriel Matias are fighters who are really, really tough. I think Isaac Cruz has the better defense, but they're guys who are willing to go through hell to get what they want. They're both tough fights for any fighter. They have tremendous wills, which will lead to an extremely exciting fight. Right? What Isaac Cruz does well, he does very well. What Subriel Matias does well, he does very well. And so that's a fight in which you can call it a 50-50 fight because Isak's defense is always on point. Subriel is not just going to break that defense just like that. And Subriel, his offense is always on point. He knows how to land shots in between shots, which will make for a very exciting fight in which, in my opinion, it's a bona fide 50-50 fight. And a lot of people will say, oh, Isaac should stay away from Subriel Matias. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Isaac faces any opponent and gives them hell. All the opponents, because of his size, because he's so short. Point number 3. Isaac Cruz is the WBA champion. Subriel Matias is the IBF champion. Since Oscar De La Hoya versus Felix Trinidad, we have not had 2 champions. One born in Puerto Rico, one born in Mexico, that faced down with each other for a good minute. 2 champions, not just one's a contender, one's a champion. Okay? So that's historic in itself. Now, some people will say, well, let's build up the fighters a little bit more. Now, Isaac Cruz have a defense before he faces Subriel Matias. Let's build up the fight. Problem with that is Subriel Matias is looking for a big name to put on his resume. Pitbull is as big a name as you can get because Pitbull has faced Tank and gave Tank a run for his money. Pitbull has faced now Rolly Romero and he stopped him. Pitbull is as dangerous as Subriel Matias. You look at all Pitbull's opponents, Pitbull has stopped almost all his opponents he's fought. Subriel Matias doesn't have any marquee name on his list, but he has also stopped almost every single opponent he's fought. Isaac Cruz has fought arguably one of the best fighters, pound for pound fighters in the world today, which is Gervonta Tank Davis. So we know Subriel Matias, as strong as he is, as powerful as he is, Isaac Cruz, he fought better, right? And gave that better fighter hell, okay? But Subriel Matias himself is hell. He can eat punches and keep coming. And so that in and of itself is what makes this fight so interesting. Because Subriel Matias is willing to go to hell and back. He's willing to die and be reborn to win. All right? He's got that mindset. But so does Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz is a hungry guy. And he will fight hard. And he got defense. And he's very aggressive. Right? I've seen him box off the back foot. He can box a little bit off the back foot. So does Subriel Matias. But that fight is not, ain't nobody going off the back foot. That's going to fight in the middle of the ring. Them guys going to go at it, and we'll see who comes out the victor. Right? That is, in my opinion, in the 140-pound division, the pinnacle fight of the 140-pound division. Okay? Two real fighters going at it. Blood, sweat, tears, and guts. And somebody coming out a victor. Now, y'all might say, well, Isaac Cruz, he just entered the division. Give him some time to acclimatize. Isaac Cruz is big as hell. He was bigger than Rolly Romero when he came into the ring for the WBA title. The only question is if it's a unification. Now, let me tell you why this is another, why this unification is interesting. Let's look at the alternatives. Super Matias versus any other champion. This is point number 4. Super Matias versus Devin Haney. He gets $5. Super Matias versus Teofimo Lopez. And Lopez can punch. He gets counterpunch, probably gets dropped. Somehow Tia wins. Super Matias versus Isaac Cruz. Guaranteed to be 100% an action-packed fight. And if Super Matias does not use his reach and length against Isaac Cruz, they're going to have to fight in the phone booth. And it's going to be a phone booth fight for almost the entire fight. So when you think about it, Isaac Cruz versus Super Matias could be one of the really big-time fights out there. A phone booth fight from beginning to end. Maybe nobody quits, nobody goes down, and maybe nobody knocks out nobody, okay? But at the end of the day, it's going to be a hell of a fight because I don't see Isaac Cruz getting knocked down. And Super Matias is so tough, I don't know if he'll get knocked down, right? Isaac might give him the hardest firepower out there. I mean, might rake him with some shots, might even wobble him. Both guys might get wobbled or hurt somewhere in between, but I just don't see nobody giving in. So I could see it being a very exciting fight. Maybe one sleeps the other. Who knows? We don't know. But it's something of a fight that I'm thinking these guys are fundamentally, Isaac Cruz is fundamentally sound. Super Matias, not as fundamentally sound, but he still avoids some of the big punches another fighter will be doing because usually he has his high guard up. So 1 or 2 punches might get to the high guard, but he's not taking punches willy-nilly. But I'm just telling you, a fight like that is a casual fan's fantasy. There'll be skill. There'll be lots of punches, lots of action. A lot of will, a lot of incredible things. Seeing boxers take some really, really hard shots. That would be an exciting fight. It might be something like Castillo versus Corrales. Might be one of those Titan fights we haven't seen in a long time. So I really don't see anybody knocking out Isaac Cruz. I think his defense is too sharp, and I think he's too strong. As a unification fight, they won't enforce the IBF rules. We've seen it with Danny Jacobs versus GGG. They didn't enforce the rules. And I think we also saw Danny Jacobs versus Canelo. So Isaac gets to rehydrate to whatever way he wants to be. Isaac's a huge dude. And he's extremely strong. Okay? Which is why he got rid of Rolly Romero. Because Rolly Romero can punch. We all know that. And he wasn't doing nothing to Isaac. So I'm telling you right now, Super Matias versus Isaac Cruz is the fight to make. Maybe not the next fight to make, but it definitely is the fight to make. Maybe Isaac defends his title against Ishmael Barroso, who's an old guy, but he needs a shot at the title. And he is the interim champion, I believe, of the WBA. So after Isaac Cruz defends his title against Ishmael Barroso, who needs a shot at the title, to be fair? They should look at a fight against Super Matias. I think of all the fights with all the champions that Super Matias could possibly win, I think his fight against Isaac Cruz may be the one closest to the one he can win. You know, I think the other guys, they can outmaneuver him, even as relentless as he is. And what a lot of people don't understand is you don't have to stop a fighter who's relentless. You just have to make him miss, make him pay for the rest of the night, and you can outpoint him. Not that you're not looking to stop him. It's just that if you don't stop him, you outpoint him. You know, when people talk about Bivol versus Beterbiev, this is what I've seen Floyd deal with these kinds of fighters. You know, Shakur Stevenson understands what he has to do with Isaac Cruz, with a Subriel Matias. Right? You just have to be a step ahead of them. So they're constantly a step behind you, no matter how much they think they can cut off the ring and stuff. It'd be hard to cut you off. And then especially if you push them back and they have to fight off their back foot, it also makes it harder for them. But you're not pushing them back coming directly straight in front of them. So a lot of fighters who fight Subriel Matias make the mistake of throwing punches at him while he's got his guard up, while they're directly in front of him, so he can counter you. You don't do that. That's stupid. If he got his guard up, you're throwing at a guard. What are you doing? You're punching a guard. He's not going to take a step back. Like Golovkin, like Chocolatito, he's just going to stand there and take all those punches. And then he's going to perceive after you've thrown your storm, after he's weathered your storm, he'll throw whatever he has to throw and keep coming. But if you're turning him, he has to pivot all the time and he's a step behind, you're going to catch him with something because you're going to open him up. That's what Tim was doing initially with Fundora, which is why he was driving him back and knocking him into the ropes and stuff. Because he cut that angle to throw the lead right hand. You know? He wasn't directly in front of Sebastian Fundora in the beginning. When he couldn't get his bearings properly, he ended up getting caught. And that's why Fundora's jab wasn't effective early on. Exactly what I was seeing, which is why I said this is what Zoo need to do to win the fight. I actually said that in our stream before. I'm sorry about this food. I just gotta eat. I'm hungry. Here's a fifth reason why Isaac Cruz versus Subriel Matias is a fight to make now. We all know Mexican versus Mexican, top Mexican versus top Mexican makes money. Okay? Especially if you hold it in Mexico. That's huge. But the rivalry between Mexico and Puerto Rico is epic. Now, I'll be real with you. I'll be straight with you. If Subriel Matias could keep on knocking out guys, and, you know, he likes to have his fights in Puerto Rico. Whether it's in Puerto Rico, where? And he can get a top guy in the 140 division. A Richardson Hitchkins, you know, who might end up facing him, or somebody else. And he stops that top guy. It's going to open the door for, and so let's say Pitbull Cruz, he knocks out, you know, Barroso, and then he faces some other top guy. And he knocks out that top guy. It's going to be even a bigger fight because now both guys look like the killers. You know? Some of the top 140 pounders that could be in that mix is like Jack Catterall, the Spanish guy. Spanish guy that beat Mikey Garcia and faced Tio and dropped him twice. That guy. I believe he's a mandatory right now for Devin Haney's title. If you guys know what his name is, just give us the name in the comment section. You know. Oh, by the way, happy Easter to everybody. Forgot about that. So let's say Pitbull faces that Spanish guy. Stops him, right? Matias faces Richardson Hitchens. Stops him. That makes a bigger fight. Now, those two fights I just spoke about are very difficult fights for both guys to beat. Pitbull fighting the Spanish guy. I'll tell you what his name is. Pitbull fighting the Spanish guy. That's going to be a tough fight. Hold on one second. Couldn't remember his name for nothing. Sandor Martin. So if Pitbull could beat Sandor Martin and Matias beat Richardson Hitchens or Jermaine Ortiz, top guys. People see him box well. We could have and those two meet up, it would be a tremendous fight. You know? Now, how plausible is that? I'm speaking as a fan. So I'm going to go through the IBF rankings. I'm going to see who Subriel Matias could face. Just a relatively known super lightweight that's ranked in the IBF. All right. So there's Richardson Hitchens. There's Jack Catterall. Regis Prograis. I love to see Subriel Matias versus Regis Prograis. Matias is facing Liam Powell. Liam Powell got some power in his left hand, but Liam's style, I don't think Liam's style is suited for beating Subriel Matias. I got Gustavo Lemos, who's facing Richardson Hitchens. Catterall's facing Taylor. Regis is free. So, you know, that's another pretty big fight. Regis Prograis versus Subriel Matias. That would be a big name on Matias' record, you know? In the WBA rankings, this is what we're looking at. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. See, we got March. By the way, today's April Fool's Day. Mm-hmm. All right. Isaac Cruz is the #1 guy. Ismael Barroso is the interim champion. You got Kenneth Sims Jr. next in line. Alberto Puello, who gave up his opportunity the last time and Raleigh filled in to face Ismael Barroso. There's Nestor Bravo, then Jack Catterall. Raleigh's at #5, so he's still in there. Got O'Hara Davies at #8. There's not really a lot of known names. There's Catterall in there that he allowed to face, and Kenneth Sims Jr. So yeah, there's no Jermaine Ortiz. There's no Sandor Martin. Sandor is not ranked very high there. Yeah. There's Kenneth Sims, in addition to Ismael Barroso. Jack Catterall's in there. That's about it. Now, I don't think Tank is going to jump up to 140 to face Pitbull. Some people say, could Tank won bigger fights? No, it's just that Pitbull's style is very difficult to beat. It really is. And yeah, you say he winging punches. Throw a lot of hooks. But he's throwing the hook as a counter to your shot. He's countering you with a hook. You know, it's the timing of the shots. It's not just about what he's throwing. It's the timing of the shot. And remember, Mexicans like to throw hooks because I remember Marcos Maidana used to throw a lot of hooks. The reason Mexicans like to throw a lot of hooks is because it goes outside your vision and back in. If you're throwing a straight shot, yeah, it can land on the target. But if I throw a well-timed hook to your jab, for example, you throw a jab and I hook over your jab. First of all, your jab, it might be a straight shot, but if I slip your jab and I come with a hook, it's looping, so you won't see it till the last minute. You know, and that's what Isaac does so well. And then once he closes the distance, he starts throwing a whole flurry of shots on the inside to the head and to the body. And if you try to lock him up, he'll fight straight through the lockup. He'll fight you through inside the lockup. So he's actually doing more damage in the lockup. Yeah, y'all say it's arm punches, but then he can get some leverage. He can rock his body one way and then throw the shot. You know, and he's really quick with it. So, you know, the only guys that Isaac Cruz could really actually fight is Barroso, who made his name off of Raleigh, and Jack Catterall in the WBA. That's assuming Catterall beats Josh Taylor. He'll make a name for himself. And So actually, Isaac Cruz, who made a name off of fighting Tank, would be facing Ishmael Barroso, who made a name off of fighting Raleigh. That's how we come to know him. Jack Catterall, if you face Jack Catterall, because Jack Catterall made a name off of fighting Josh Taylor. The unknown guy here who has some skill and really he's ranked high in the WBA is Kenneth Sims Jr., who could probably make a name off of Isaac Cruz if he was to outbox him. You know, then there's Alberto Puello, who had his shot at the title and he gave it up. There's another guy that we could talk about. But yeah, Isaac Cruz don't really got a lot in his rankings in-house, like I mean in the WBA. But when it comes to like Subriel Matias, he actually has tougher competition. He got Richardson Hitchens. He also has Jack Catterall, who's ranked in there. Then there's Regis Prograis, which is a very good fighter. Liam Parrow is also a very good fighter. And Gustavo Lemos, who's going to be facing Richardson Hitchens. He's number 7. And then you got Arnold Barboza. You got some solid people up in here in the IBF. You got Jermaine Ortiz as well. All these guys can fight. Arnold Barboza, Jermaine Ortiz, Liam Parrow, Richardson Hitchens. They all can box. Jack Catterall. Regis Prograis, he's a banger, but he's also a decent boxer. He's got good speed, good power. People are trying to write off Regis Prograis. If you do guys remember, Regis Prograis was ducked like the plague. He couldn't get fights. So I don't believe that Regis Prograis is a joke. I think what Devin Haney did to Regis Prograis, nobody has ever done to Regis Prograis. And to say, you know, because, you know, Richardson Hitchens and those guys, they probably beat up Regis Prograis in sparring or at least hit him with shots in sparring. And Regis could take a punch. They feel like he's easy work, but he's not really easy work. Okay. You know, Devin Haney made it look easy, but Devin Haney's been making it look easy against almost every single opponent he's faced, except for Vasily Lomachenko, where it was a slightly tougher fight. But, you know, Devin Haney's Devin Haney. Don't, you know, Richardson Hitchens thinking that Regis Prograis is a walk in the park because he probably sparred him. I was able to land a lot of punches on him. Doesn't mean that Regis Prograis is a walk in the park. Okay, that's why I would love to see Regis Prograis versus Subriel Matias, because I know Regis Prograis is a strong, tough fighter, southpaw, and I know he would give Subriel Matias a run for his money. He might even beat Subriel Matias, because Regis Prograis really can punch, 1. 2, he likes to mix it up on the inside. He likes to fight other fighters. He likes to do that. That's what his thing. You know, that's his thing. He's tough. He's strong. He likes to fight. He actually likes fighting more than boxing. So Subriel Matias would be a welcome. Regis would welcome a fight with Subriel Matias, you know. And people say Regis is chinny. Regis is not chinny. Regis is not chinny. Okay. The guy who knocked down Regis caught him with a shot that Regis didn't see, and he dropped him. But what happened at the end? Regis dropped that guy too and beat him up pretty bad, right? And it's come back. And the guy was landing some shots on Regis. He wasn't doing anything to Regis. Now, Devin Haney, because of Devin Haney's speed, like I said, the speed of the punches, and Devin Haney puts his punches together. Like, who was it that got slept? Somebody got slept. Somebody got slept. Who was it? Somebody got slept. Oh, yeah. Arislandy Lara versus Michael Zarafa, right? Michael Zarafa got slept in the second round. But why? Why? Because he got hit with a 1-2. He got hit with a jab, and then he got hit with a straight left coming off the jab. See, combinations of punches what put people to sleep. All right, George Foreman put to sleep. Yeah, he has heavy hands, but what put Michael Moore to sleep was the 1-2. It wasn't just that the one blind the guy. It was the one hit the guy first, and that traumatized him, and then followed by the 2 on the same spot. A double knock like that, you ain't getting up from that. You're not getting up from that. Because it's double trauma. You just got stunned. It's like a right hand, left hook. The right hand stuns you, and then the left hook puts you to sleep. That's why that combination. And a 1-2 is the same thing as a 2-3. A 1-2 is I hit you with the jab, so that stunned you already. And then I finish you off with the right hand. You know? Some guys hit you with different kinds of combinations. Like they would hit you with a guy might hit you with a jab first. I'm in the orthodox stance. Hit you with a jab, go down, dig to the body with a left hook, come back up with a left hook to the head and put you to sleep. Because let me tell you, that's a nice little combination. I'm gonna tell you why that works. I hit you with a jab, so I stun you, right? Your head slaps back. and I crack you to the body. So your attention is misdirected. You're thinking down here now. You just got stunned here. Now you got caught. Now you're looking down. And as you do so, I hit you with a left hook. I put you to sleep because your attention is not here. Your attention is on your body, right? Your attention is on your body. So all of this is relaxed enough. It's not tensed up to get hit. And then you come across the top and you finish the guy off. The guy's going to go to sleep, right? He's going to go to sleep, right? So, you know, the 1-2, why the 1-2 has always been effective at putting guys down on their ass or knocking guys flat out is because, especially if the one hits you, if the jab hits you, you know, straight jab, snap your head back already. And then you, as your head is rebounding back, you get caught with the second left hand. Right? It's a quick 1-2. Boop, 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 boop. And that's what Devin Haney did to stun Regis program, put him down. He hit him with a 1-2 in the orthodox stance. Right? Not only did he blind him, he hit him with a punch. So you're preoccupied with the first punch, and the second punch comes, the second trauma comes. You're out of there. Okay? It cripples your legs, it cripples your body. You know, your body goes into shock. So even what Isaac Cruz was doing against Rolly Romero, he stunned him with the first shot. But when he hit him with the one, when he started hitting with the combinations, you know, the hooks, boop, you get hooked here and then you get hooked back the other way. That completely messed up his equilibrium. And he was done. Rolly was done. Right? Because he was a sitting target. And Rolly still keeps his chin up in the air. That's why he keep on getting. You watch that Pitbull. Pitbull's chin is tucked. Like the thing with Pitbull is he got the fundamentals down. And let me tell you something. People talk about special effects. They could talk about all that bullshit. If you're a fundamentally sound fighter, right? If you're a fundamentally sound fighter, fundamentals is everything. Whether it's basketball, whatever sports it is, or whatever thing you do in life, you have to get the fundamentals down. It doesn't matter if you got all those special effects and stuff and you don't have the fundamentals down. Roy Jones Jr. was filled with special effects, but he did not master all of the fundamentals. I didn't say he didn't have the fundamentals. I said he did not master all of the fundamentals. Difference, what I'm saying. Obviously, Roy Jones Jr. fought in the amateurs. He knew what the fundamentals were. But in his pro career, he depended too much on special effects and on his athleticism than on the fundamentals, because at the time, he was so quick, he could get away with things, right? But if you stay with the fundamentals in your boxing career, and the fundamentals involve defense, and it involves offense, and it involves how to utilize your defense properly. If you master the fundamentals and you're strong in your fundamentals, you're going to have a long career in boxing. Okay? Because the fundamentals is what carries through. And that's what Isaac Cruz knows. He's fundamentally sound. Right? And, you know, this is another thing I want to say. And guys like Barrera and Morales and those guys, Barrera knew the fundamentals. He didn't always use the fundamentals, but he knew the fundamentals. And so did Eric Morales. Sometimes they would throw the fundamentals to the wind and just fight and throw hands. But Isaac Cruz don't fight like that. Isaac Cruz fights fundamentally sound. Even though he's fighting fundamentally sound. His father even advised him to use the jab more, which he should jab. Where he can, he should jab. It doesn't make sense trying to do a jab or a double or triple jab coming in when you're too far away from your opponent. And the thing with Isaac is he has to cover a lot of distance. So that's why he uses other mechanisms to get in and close the distance on his opponent. And by him being so aggressive with his offense, he kind of makes his opponent move backwards, so nullifying the need to have defense. Because he's so aggressively coming at you, your first reaction is to move backwards. So that gives him enough space so that he doesn't have to worry about something coming back at him. So when you're fighting Isaac Cruz, for example, you have to keep your composure. Okay? But like I said, Isaac Cruz versus Subriel Matias is a huge fight, and it's now an hour long. I took an hour long on this stream. So, you know, that's a good fight. But like I said before, if they want to kind of try to make it bigger. The thing about it is, let's say Super Matias faces a guy like Jermaine Ortiz or a guy like Jack Catterall, right? Because in the listing here, we got Jack Catterall, got Richardson Hitchens, we got Regis Prograis, Liam Parrell is number 6, Gustavo Lamos. This is the IBF rankings, okay? Arnold Barboza. Now, the thing about it is, and Jermaine Ortiz, the thing about it is, a guy like Jermaine Ortiz, for example, very skilled fighter. Jermaine Ortiz don't have to have all this big one-hitter quitter power. We've seen it against Teofimo Lopez. Jermaine Ortiz just need to outpoint Subriel Matias. So let's say Subriel Matias fights Jermaine Ortiz and loses, and Jermaine Ortiz becomes the IBF champion. And the thing with Jermaine Ortiz is, he of all the people out there should be able to make the IBF limit because Jermaine Ortiz is coming up from lightweight. So even though he's settling into super lightweight, which is another reason why he didn't knock out Teofimo Lopez, he's coming up in rate. But with Jermaine Ortiz, he might be able to make the IBF limit, for example. Him versus Subriel Matias is going to be a nightmare for Subriel Matias. I'm telling you, Subriel Matias he's going to be in a nightmare because Jermaine Ortiz will be tattooing him all over the place while not being there to be hit. Because Jermaine Ortiz can really box, and we saw seen Teofimo Lopez couldn't even hit Jermaine Ortiz. And I don't care how relentless Subriel Matias is. I don't care how much he thinks he can cut off the ring. He ain't cutting off the ring against Jermaine Ortiz. All right, Jermaine Ortiz got his foot speed, and the fact that he gets into position much quicker than Subriel Matias means it's a nightmare for Subriel Matias. That's a fight in which, and Subriel Matias would call him a runner. Oh, he gonna run around the ring. And I think Subriel Matias also said that about Devin Haney. Oh, he runs so much, he's a runner. He's saying that because he knows he don't have the foot speed to match what Devin Haney could do. Guys like Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, they would have a field day with Subriel Matias. They don't need to stop him because they're always going to be a step ahead of him. You know what I mean? Subriel Matias is a good fighter, but he needs somebody who would mix it up with him, and not have all that special effects in their fighting, make him come down a round line and all this craziness. Then he needs somebody who toe-to-toe him. And so that's why I said Subriel Matias versus Isaac Cruz is a match made in heaven. Now, Isaac Cruz also got some special effects in his, as simple as his style may look, he got some special effects in there. And Subriel Matias, even defensively and offensively, has little tricks he uses to offset the fighter, see what they got, find out what their power is, and realize if he's much more well-conditioned, if he's stronger a fighter, he gonna get him down the stretch. Now, Isaac Cruz, he got some special effects. Like he's even though he may stand in front of you for a minute and then he will come at you, Isaac Cruz still can, he can move to the side of you. He can pivot around you. He can do various things. He's very athletic for a guy so small. So that's what makes the fight very interesting. And we all know Isaac Cruz is going to come forward like a Mexican fighter. Subriel Matias could come forward like a Puerto Rican fighter. So we know we're getting a classic right there. And I mean, it's the match made in heaven. Of the two fighters, that's a fight that you really want to see. As fight fans, you want to see it. Casual fans will love it. Everybody will love that fight. And you just have to pray that both fighters come out of that fight healthy, that nobody dies, like what happened with Dadashev. Now, Dadashev don't have the skills that Isaac Cruz have. He didn't have the defense that Isaac Cruz had. Subriel Matias don't have the defense that Isaac Cruz has. I don't think Subriel Matias is as fundamentally sound as Isaac Cruz is. And I think that would be the difference in that fight. I think it's a winnable fight for Isaac Cruz. I believe, though, that it's also a winnable fight for Subriel Matias. It depends. Subriel Matias should be the bigger guy in terms of he been at 140. That's what he was, a 140-pounder. Isaac Cruz coming up from featherweight, from 126. And Isaac Cruz is just being a dog. He proved he is a dog. So and he lived up to his name, Pitbull. So Pitbull versus Subriel Matias is a hell of a fight. I have it as a 50-50 fight whenever that fight happens. That's a fight that every single fight fan is going to be satisfied after that fight happens. And shout out, by the way, to PBC's first card on Amazon. It was a hell of a fight. Hell of a fights on Amazon Prime. Action-packed fights. Looking forward to seeing what Ersan Dilar will do next. Looking forward to what Pitbull Cruz will do next. Looking forward to what Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora will do next. I do hope that Tim Tszyu gets his immediate rematch with Sebastian Fundora. If it is possible, we will see. But Ultimately, in the end, this is what I wanted to talk about. I am what you need. You're watching my channel. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget you can like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget also that you can donate to this channel. You can donate to this channel via PayPal. The link is in the chat, but it's also going to be in the description of this stream whenever the stream comes out. And finally, I'm inviting more people to come in here as guests. I'm supposed to have a long time ago gotten a judge on here to talk about how fights are scored. I'll try and find judges, and I'll see if I can contact judges, and I see if I can get one on this program. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I am what you need. Peace.